Shot session. Shot session.
Term, right? And then there's types in there, and then there's permanent, and then there's different types of there, and they all have different functions.
Okay.
About this, the storage went.
Oh no!
All right, we'll stick with that one then. Is that one still going?
So is this an iPhone thing?
Oh
Because
yeah.
I like
Your storage?
this is my first iPhone, and yeah, it's making me have to delete a bunch
We'll
of
stick
stuff.
with this one then. We'll have this one, whatever we have with this one, we'll go in and out. That'll be on my main one and stuff. And this is part of it. It's called No Guidance Breaking for a reason.
No guidance.
You know what I'm saying? We go in and out and stuff like
That's
that.
okay.
You know? But we was just breaking down the
Yeah.
permanent and
term.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
term.
So think of it as two different umbrellas, right? And then underneath there are the different types, right? And so each type will just be dependent on, again, what is your goal. I always tell people life insurance is not just a like, hey, this is your age, this is your amount, this is how much it is. For me, someone that does that is not really looking holistically into your goals, how this fits in your financial plan, because it is a financial tool, right? It's part of a financial portfolio you should have. So when we look at term, there's really more of a traditional term that a lot of people know.
Okay.
And that's really, when we think about the history of life insurance, that was the product, right?
Right.
You get a plan, and this plan will cover you for X amount of dollars, and a lot of times it's very cost effective. And so that was the selling point, right? You can get this large lump sum for a cost effective amount monthly you're contributing, and then back then people were like not living as long. They were living very shorter lives.
Right.
So people could still benefit from that, because if you had a parent dying at 60, right, and let's say they had a term, and a lot of times those terms will be anywhere from 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
Okay.
Some
What
go
would
up
be
to
the
35.
max? Like,
Well,
have you seen? Sorry.
No. So I've seen 35-year terms, and there's also something called an annual renewable term.
Okay.
So what an annual renewable term is, it's saying, okay, Aaron, we're gonna start you off at this contribution, right, this amount for the month or year, however you pay, and then each year they kind of revisit, right, now looking at your age, you know, and they adjust for that. And so some people like that because it's not necessarily something that they're, let's say, locked into, right?
Okay.
So let's say year 3, you just don't want it, then that's it, that's the end of it. Versus something like a 10, 20, 15, you still can really stop at any point, but that's the level amount. So that's saying if you got it for 30 years, that means for 30 years, that contribution never changes.
You're locked in.
You're locked in,
For
right?
those 30, yeah.
Whereas with an annual renewable term, like I said, those amounts can change. And sometimes it's very minimal, right? You might see like maybe $5 more, but as you age,
They increase.
yeah, I've seen them go up like thousands, right? And so for me, when I'm talking to individuals, I like the level approach. I like to say, hey, especially if you have a family and you're factoring it into your budget, this is not going to change on you. And there's options so that you don't outlive it, which is some of, why people don't like it is because they know that now we are living longer, right?
Right. That's what I was gonna ask.
For sure, right? So if I get something now at 40, I'll be 42.
32.
32, 22 plus 20, I'll be 22 plus 20. So let's say I get a 30-year,
Right.
it's only 72. And I hope to think that God got me at least here till 85, 90.
That's what I'm
Just
saying.
saying.
That 85, 90
Come on,
with
brother.
you.
Right. So, so at that point now, the idea is like, okay, I've had this coverage, but now I no longer do because I don't want to continue it on. Because you can't continue it on. Once you've had that level amount, if you're saying, no, I still want to keep this coverage, what they do then is now adjust for your age. And that's when, again, you see the increase.
Okay.
Now, some individuals will say, well, yeah, but at that time, you should have already kind of had your finances together.
But a life be life.
Life be lifing, and when you think about the sum you're growing, a lot of times that's for retirement.
Right.
Do you really want to use your retirement money? It's for long-term care. People don't factor that in. It's not just retirement. What if you get sick in retirement? My grandmother was sick for 10 years. And so she needed support. She needed, people to come help her at home. That costs money. I mean, people think, oh, you got Medicaid. or Medicare, but I mean, that only covers so much.
Exactly.
Right? And so sometimes you do have to come out of pocket. And so that's why I tell individuals it's a good starting place. If maybe you're tight on budget, or maybe you're just not sure yet how it fits in,
Right.
it's a good starting place because, again, your contributions, it's more cost effective. There's another plan where it's the same kind of setup where you have the 20, 25, and 30 years.
Okay.
But the cool thing about that one is, unlike the first one, let's say you exceed the years and you just don't want to continue, it's like a use it or lose it, right? It's like, hey, you had this coverage, we protected you during your working years, your years where your children are younger, you don't want it anymore, then we're done. There's a type of term called the return of premium, where at the end of the term, they will give you back all your premiums.
Okay.
Which is really cool. Now, obviously, you're going to contribute a little bit more into those plans, right? But I liken that almost to a savings account, right? So let's imagine you're putting 100, 200 to a savings account a month, right? Because you want to save.
Right.
And then you pass away, let's say 6 months into it. You've had $1,200 in there.
Yes.
That may pay a mortgage for a month, right? Right?
Yeah.
Maybe,
Right.
right? Versus you have it into a return of premium solution, right? 6 months in, you pass away, now you're leaving your family with $300,000, right? Conversely, if you don't pass away, let's say again in my scenario, I live till 72, now I get all those premiums back. Or I can say, hey, keep all of those premiums, and now they're giving me paid up insurance. So it's insurance I don't have to pay into anymore, and it's just mine.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's gonna be the whole thing, but they'll give you a good portion,
Right.
portion of it. Or you could say, I need to extend it some more. Because like you said, life be lifing, right? I may hope and pray that my children get it together, but some parents are still taking care of their grown children, right? And so those are expenses that you are concerned about and you want to make sure are taken care of. So those are two types of terms that people could look into if that's, say, something that they were interested in for what I call risk management. Like I said, it's saying what are the assets in my life that need protection, not just if I pass away, but also if I get sick. Because embedded in at least the solutions that I offer are something called living benefits too.
Okay.
So living benefits are really cool because
Shot session.